Hey guys, what's up? Lightboltjoe here. Today we're going to discuss Season 3 of Netflix original show, Stranger Things. Majority of this show is written and directed by the Duffer Brothers. So, it has been 21 months since we had Season 2. So, Season 1 came out in 2016, Season 2 was 2017, Season 3 is 2019. So, I'm assuming 2021 will have Season 4, which is probably going to be the season/series finale. Yeah, I'm already crying, but we have a lot to discuss. And of course I want to hear theories, I want to hear opinions, etc. So we have 4 separate stories, that's the 3. 4 separate stories going on in Season 3. There's 8 episodes. Episode 8, The Battle of Starcourt, is still holding strong at a 9.7 rating on IMDb. One of the best, if not the best, season finale I've ever seen of any show. Ever. Amazing. It closed so many stories, gave us a lot of what ifs and a lot of cliffhangers as well, but we'll get to it. So you have it's the end of June in 1985 is when our story starts, and it ends on July 4th, 1985. In the trailer we see the big 4th of July celebration, and the mayor goes, "Happy 4th of July, everybody," and fireworks, etc. So the Season 3 premiere came out July 4th, 2019. Thursday, July 4th, 2019. I was working. I left work early because why the store was open in the first place is beyond me. C'est la vie. So I get home. I binge all 8 episodes. I specifically posted for no one to talk to me. I don't care if anybody has died. They'll still be dead on July 5th unless something happened to Zac Efron, and then obviously get in contact with me. That was literally my post on July 4th. I had a pot of coffee to myself. I watched all 8 episodes, laughed, cried, cheered, on the edge of my seat, literally stood for applause with my jaw dropped at the end of episode 8, The Battle of Starcourt, and I'm still in awe. So the 4 different storylines we have going is Nancy and Jonathan are working at the Hawkins Post, which is a newspaper. Nancy is just a coffee girl dreaming to be a reporter. Jonathan is the photographer, right? But they're interns, technically. Then you have Dustin, Erica, and Steve, and a new character, Robin, teaming together because of some things. Then you have Joyce, Jim, and Murray, the journalist who Jonathan and Nancy talked to in last season, coming together for things. And you have the rest of the knuckleheads, as Steve exclaims. You have Max, you have 11, you have Mike, you have Will, you have did I say Max? I said Max. You have Lucas, all coming together for their things. But technically there's 5 stories then, because you also have Billy going around town doing things for the Mind Flayer. Okay, so the Mind Flayer, the shadow monster, right? When he was burned out of Will at the end of Season 2, never actually fully burned out of Will. And so when Elle closed the gate, she closed it, but the Mind Flayer never actually went back into the Upside Down. He was always trapped still in their world. That's why at the very end of Season 2, we get an upside down shot of the middle school at the snowball dance, and you see the Mind Flayer shadow, over it. And they're like, what's going to happen next? And then we find out. So the Mind Flayer never actually left Hawkins, right? He's still in reality, and he's not back in the Upside Down. But the season starts out in Russia, and there's Russians trying to open up the Upside Down in Russia, for reasons we don't know, but they kind of do it, and then the machine explodes, and then there's a scientist who has to face this army guy, and he's like, "You have 1 year." So then the Russians pack up, basically, move to Hawkins, where the gate originally opened, and where the source, was the biggest chance of them opening it again with their tech, with their actual technology, not with 11 superpowers kind of a thing. And then they build this giant mall called Starcourt Mall on top of the secret Russian base to hide the things. So then there's deliveries that go to and from the mall, but there's deliveries that also go down this massive elevator to transport this goo, this liquid that powers, this green liquid that powers this massive machine that opens up the Upside Down underneath the mall. So the Upside Down has been opened up temporarily in Russia. It's been opened up for real in underground bunker of Hawkins' lab in Hawkins, right? Disguised as the electrical power plant. But then it's also been opened in Hawkins as well underneath Starcourt. Okay, so the shadow monster therefore starts to invade all the rats. And the rats have rabies, apparently, according to one of the elderly constituents in Hawkins, who then contacts the Hawkins Post. Nancy picks up the phone. Nancy and Jonathan therefore go to said elderly woman's house to see that the fertilizer and the chemicals have been eaten and the rabid rat is in a cage, and etc. But then the rat explodes, and then the goo of the rat travels down and, eventually finds its way back to a steel mill where all of the rats of Hawkins have exploded and created a mini mind flayer, a mini shadow monster, right, out of the exploded guts of the rats. Therefore, attacking Billy, who happens to be driving past the steel mill at some point to hook up with Karen Wheeler. That was a funny story. Karen being Nancy and Mike's mother, of course. So then Billy's attacked and he's infested with he's been flayed, as the knuckleheads, come to terms with. The Shadow Monster is then using Billy as a host, much like so the Shadow Monster used Will as a host in the last season. So then Billy's objective is to get as many flayed people as he can in Hawkins, so that way when the Shadow Monster activates them, they would then go to him, melt their bodies, and create the Shadow Monster, the Mind Flayer's corporeal form. Does that make sense? Yeah, that's a good word for it. You have Scott, who's the teacher, the science teacher, explain magnetism to Joyce. You have Joyce and Hop running into one of the Russian scientists in an underground base under a farm kind of a thing, and he explains, why they kind of packed up from Russia and went to Hawkins to open up the Upside Down. Murray gets involved as well, because Murray speaks Russian, so then they're translating, etc. Alexei. And it's hysterical. It's absolutely hysterical scenes involving Looney Tunes, Woody Woodpecker, Slurpees from 7-Eleven, stealing a car, the yellow convertible called the Todd Father. But then also while this is going on, you have Eleven and Mike hooking up all the time and then breaking up all the time. You have the girls hanging out. You have the guys hanging out. You have everybody hanging out at Starcourt Mall, which is where Steve and Robin work at Scoops Ahoy ice cream parlor, where Erica, Lucas's sister, and her friends, the mall rats, try to get free samples constantly. So then eventually Dustin comes back from summer camp, right? Picks up a radio frequency from these evil Russians, and it's this coded encryption. So then Dustin is hanging out with Steve and Robin trying to decrypt the secret Russian code. But it turns out the code involved the mall. It involves Starcourt Mall. The Silver Cat, a trip to China would be nice, where yellow and blue meets the West, things to that nature. So they decrypt the code, they convince Erica to crawl through a duct to get into this, delivery section where these secret boxes are being kept, because they want to know what these Russians are hiding, kind of a thing. So they bribe Erica with ice cream for life. She goes through the ducts. The kids then all get trapped in this facility, which isn't actually a storage facility. It's therefore an elevator, which travels all the way down to the secret Russian base. And then Erica and Dustin wind up escaping to go get help. Robin and Steve wind up being interrogated and then drugged and then interrogated some more. And it's this hysterical banter between the two of them, working for Scoops Ahoy and wearing the vest, and Steve the Hare Harrington, doing his Steve the Hare thing. I wear my tattoo with pride, that's for sure. Steve the Hare Harrington. And I do need to put a little ice cream now in this little space because of the Scoops Ahoy aspect of everything. Hysterical. So, what else? Then the kids obviously eventually get away from the Russians, and they're being attacked by the Russians. But while all of this is going on, Billy's going off on his flaying spree. Elle is trying to figure out, where this base is for the Mind Flayer, what Billy's objective is, and then everybody eventually meets up at the mall. You have Dustin, Erica, Robin, Steve at the Starcourt Mall. You have Elle, Max, Mike, Will, Lucas at the Starcourt Mall. You have Jim, you have Murray, you have Joyce wind up at the Starcourt Mall. Also, Nancy and Jonathan are with the kids as well. So everyone is now at the Starcourt Mall after Alexi is shot at the carnival for the 4th of July. So there's fights going on with the Russians. Dustin and Erica talk to Jim Hopper and Murray, saying that they can give them instructions on how to navigate the secret Russian underground, facility. So Dustin and Erica go, and Steve and Robin go up to Dustin's ham radio, basically up on a hill by Starcourt Mall, which Dustin sets up in order to talk to his love that he met at Camp Nowhere, Susie Poo, as he then later talks to her. And then they're all doing their things. The objective is to keep Elle alive because was attacked by the shadow monster at some point when they were all trying to hide out in Hop's cabin. So because everyone is now at the mall, it's a matter of what's going to happen. The Battle of Starcourt. Episode 8, Chapter 8, The Battle of Starcourt. It's a lot to take in. A lot happened during this show. So then they steal fireworks from a supermarket. They know that Billy's going to meet them there. They know that the Flayed are already a part of the storm, the shadow monster, the mind flayer. So they're all fighting the monster with the fireworks, and Elle's trying to use her powers, but then all of a sudden she just can't anymore. And then Billy is just trying to kill everybody as well, because Billy is now activated and he's got the Mind Flayer in him to make sure that Elle gets to the Mind Flayer, because the Mind Flayer wants Elle. He wants to defeat Elle, because if he defeats Elle, then he can do whatever the hell he wants in that reality, because he's no longer a part of the Upside Down. So then Elle eventually gets to Billy, because Billy submissively, I don't know the word, unintentionally, something to that extent, showed Elle a lot of his past, his happy memories, the memories that changed him to be the douchebag that he currently is, etc. So Elle gets to Billy, and then Billy stands up and faces the shadow monster and puts his hands out and screams, "No!" And then he defends Elle. After all this time, he's trying to kill everybody, specifically 11. And then he stands up and he says, "No." And then the shadow monster kills Billy, and I'm still upset about it. I specifically made a tombstone for Billy's honor for our Halloween display. More to come. I will gladly share photos once everything is done drying and etc. So Max is crying because Billy's dead, and then eventually Joyce closes the doors, closes the gate basically after Murray gets the code together, but Dustin has to get Plankoff's code or something. I can't remember the mathematical number from Susie, who eventually does answer her ham radio, and then they have to sing the Never-Ending Story song, and it's hysterical. Jim winds up dying on the bridge of the machine after he fights the big Russian, Terminator that he was. The gate closes, but the other thing is we don't actually see Jim die. We don't actually see an exploded body anywhere to that extent. So is he actually dead? We know Billy's dead. And then there's the shout out to Bob at the end. There's a shout out to Barb at the end. Bob and Barb. Huh, that's hysterical. B and B. B ending with B, B ending with B. Hilarious. The kids saved the day. Elle is still alive. The parasite is no longer in her anymore. And then we do a flash forward of 3 months later to the Byers family packing up and moving. And Elle is now a part of the Byers family, basically. And she is moving with them. Where are they moving to? We don't actually know. We also get a nice glimpse of Robin and Steve trying to apply to the video store next to the arcade. That's a big plot point of season 2, which was hysterical. We see that Robin and Steve's friendship is still intact thanks to the Scoops Ahoy friendship and decoding of the Russian, code that we got. But what was really cool about their friendship was Robin had a nice little coming out moment between her and Steve as they're throwing their guts up in the bathroom of the mall next to the movie theater because of the drugs that the Russians gave them. And it was a beautiful, quiet, elegant little thing of her coming out to Steve. The other really fun thing about this season was a little nod to Will, because Lucas has a girlfriend, Mike has a girlfriend. Will does not have a girlfriend. Will is not interested in girls. And Mike even specifically calls him out, and he says, "Listen, it's not my fault you don't like girls. Dead silence. And then they start talking again. And Mike's like, what? Did you think we would just play games in my basement for the rest of our lives? And Will's like, yeah, I thought I did. And then he goes off on a little tangent. Not really a tangent, but like he's trying to find himself. He thought that he would still have the same kind of friendship that they always had. But there's changes. There's girls involved. There's likings involved. So they're not specifically saying Will is gay, but it was heavily implied. And I thought that was a really cute little nod to have Robin literally come out, but then possibly play on Will potentially getting a boyfriend next season. That would be really cool. I'm hoping for an Asian kid. That would be nice, strong diversity, depending on, of course, where they move to. If they move to Philadelphia, they can definitely play on some, like, Little Tokyo or, you know, Chinatown kind of aspect of Philly. That would be pretty fun. It'd be pretty fun to see more diversity into this already awesome show. What else? I don't know, man. Like, I've been talking for like, what, 15 minutes? Something to that extent? It's been a long time. It's been a very long time. But that's the point. I literally binged all 8 episodes on July 4th. And to have the mayor say Happy 4th of July, everyone, and to have fireworks going off outside my windows while the fireworks are going off on the TV was pretty magical. It was pretty submersive. What better way to celebrate Captain America's birthday than with some fireworks on the TV as well as the outside? That was pretty dope. That was pretty lit. Literally lit. The light was lit. Ha! I then rewatched it on Saturday the 6th. I did another binge because my mom really wanted to see it. So I was like, well, this is what we're doing on Saturday. We're going to watch all 8 episodes. And we did. And it was magical. There's just so much going on in my brain, and it kind of, I have a headache because I keep thinking of all of these different character developments, but Billy had a beautiful character development. He had a beautiful story arc, and for him to die like the way he died, it makes sense. I'm not happy with it, but it makes sense. And it's okay. And that's literally what Elle said to Max while she's holding her, crying in front of the Gap. It's okay. Homage to all the pop culture references, homages to all of the stores that they recreated in this abandoned mall in Georgia, which is an actual mall in Georgia, for the 80s logos and neon signs and the clothes and the fashion and the pop culture. Back to the Future was a big plot point of episode 7. New Coke, like Lucas did his own mini commercial in the middle of this supermarket that they broke into to steal fireworks and to get Elle all bandaged up. It was just a fun play on a lot of different pop culture and references. And to have Back to the Future come out July 3rd, 1985, and to have this particular TV show take place on July 4th, 1985, hysterical. And it makes sense to keep it all together. Absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. I am so excited for season 4. I'm excited to read these books whenever these books come out, because there's prequel books, there's sequel books, there's side story books. There's a lot of... This season was very world building. It definitely built on the world, and it was very cool to actually see that. What did you guys think of season 3? Stranger Things 3. So much to talk about. So many puns, so many character developments, so many storylines. I'm sure I forgot something, but I talked a lot. I did talk a lot. So thank you for watching this, because we need to discuss some things. What were your likes? What were your dislikes? What were your hopes? What were your dreams? When did your soul crush the most while watching this show? My favorite moment was Dustin screaming to Steve, "If you die, I die." Something to that extent. Hysterical. That bromance that the two characters have is just so wonderful. And for Robin to call him out and say, "So how many children are you friends with?" Hysterical. Scoops Ahoy, magical. I'm definitely getting an ice cream cone right in here, just for my main Scoops Ahoy captain, Steve the Hare Harrington. Mucho mahalo, guys.